For our first story, we have Am I the ass for telling my mom she'll never have grandkids because of how she voted? Important info. My parents and I, only child, live in a state with very restrictive reproductive health laws. In summer of 23 I, 30 female, came off birth control because of some pretty bad side effects. My spouse, 33 male, and I were always ambivalent about kids. We figured if it happened, and if not, parenthood just wasn't meant for us. Fast forward to the holidays of 23. While visiting my in-laws out of state, I was rushed to the ER bleeding out internally with what turned out to be a ruptured ectopic pregnancy. I underwent emergency surgery where they stopped the bleeding, but I did lose my right fallopian tube. After this I went back on birth control and had my doc do a full workup before my spouse and I decided next steps. The workup revealed a large, benign, tumor on my remaining tube as well as significant uterine fibroids. I was told that any pregnancy I had would be high risk and that carrying to term was not as likely but also not impossible. Given the diagnosis and that my state has now caused the need for a legal team's input for providing emergency abortions in the case of a mother's health being in jeopardy, I decided to move forward with removal of my uterus and remaining tube instead of risk death a second time. The surgery occurred the day after the election and I am recovering well physically. Still working on the emotional side. My mom, who really fell down the MAGA pipeline in the last 2 years, called me a few days ago for our monthly catch-up. I had not told her, or anyone besides my best friend and spouse, about the procedure because I wanted to come to terms with my decision before having to explain it to others. She went off in a long rant about how the new gov will be great for families for when she becomes a grandma and that a national abortion ban would save so many lives of unborn babies. I completely lost it and screamed at her that she would never become a grandma and it's because of how she and those like her voted. I told her I had to have everything removed so I couldn't become pregnant and actually die this time. I hung up after that and had a breakdown. My dad, who is not MAGA, called me a few days ago to let me know he was sorry that I had to make this decision, that he hoped I healed, but that I couldn't talk to my mom like that and I need to apologize. Personally, I don't want to apologize for what I said. I will apologize for how I said it, but I really don't think I'm that much of an asshole at the end of the day. So, am I the ass? That's the end of our first post. Let's see what the commenters had to say. Our first commenter says, I just want to say, as someone who also had to have an unwanted hysterectomy, that I'm sorry for what you've lost. It gets easier in time. Our second commenter says, my wife had placenta precreta that in the end required a hysterectomy. Long story short, we moved across country just as we learned she was pregnant. She had complications and the religious hospital that we went to totally ignored, lied about how serious it was. We had to travel back to our original home state to receive the care we needed. Unfortunately, lost the pregnancy and ability to have additional children. And yes, we have those same parents that voted against her right to be here today. We hardly talk to one and do not talk to another. Even when your daughter and in-law goes through something this scary, they couldn't change their beliefs. As much as it may hurt, those types of people will never understand it. Move on, you will be better off in the long run. Your sanity is more important than her hate. Our third commenter says, not the asshole, apologize for what? Taking necessary medical steps to save your own life? For our second story, we have, am I the asshole for refusing to hire a kosher catering company for my wedding? Throwaway. I, 28 female, am getting married in April. My brother, 34 male, reached out about the catering because his girlfriend Jessie, 37 female, is Jewish and needed a kosher meal. I was fine with that. We had guests who had nut, dairy, and gluten allergies, so I just added it into my list of special meals to add. When I told him what I planned on having for appetizers, dinner, and dessert, he got upset saying that what I chose wasn't kosher. I was confused because I planned on having a specific meal for Jessie and he said that that won't work because it's not just about the food but how it's stored and prepared. If the catering company I chose wasn't kosher, then certain foods would be stored together, prepared at the same time, served at the same meal, etc. He basically told me that I'd have to hire a catering company specifically for kosher means and change my entire reception meal plan. I'm not doing that. I plan to have a seafood bar, which is a big no-no for kosher diets, among several other foods I couldn't have at my wedding anymore. Just about every food I planned, All my favorites, I wouldn't be able to have. Plus I looked into it and a catering company like that would raise my catering bill by thousands. I told my brother I was sorry but I wouldn't do that. He got angry saying that I'm purposely excluding his girlfriend, and when I suggested she bring a separate meal instead he got even more mad saying that it was horrible of me to expect that of her. I think they're being ridiculous. Why should I change the entire menu, that I was so excited about, for my wedding into something I don't even like for my brother's girlfriend? Why would I fork over an extra $3,500 for food I don't want just because she doesn't want to bring a Tupperware bowl of food to the reception? My brother said I'm prioritizing superficial things over family, which honestly made me laugh because he's been dating his girlfriend for 4 months. She's not family. He had to throw a fit to get her invited to our wedding because he didn't even know her when RSVPs went out. I haven't even met her. And I'm expected to change so much about my big day for her? Am I the asshole? Edit. I didn't think about having a meal delivered from another restaurant. But a big part of the issue my brother is presenting is that there would be non-kosher foods at the wedding still. That's the end of our second post. Let's see what the commenters had to say. Our first commenter says, "Not the asshole, I have celiac. Because of my constant worry of cross-contamination, I bring my own food with me everywhere. I never expect anyone to provide me food with my strict diet. Your brother is being an asshole. It's not his wedding, he isn't required to attend." Our second commenter says, "I am both an Orthodox Jew, kosher observant, and a caterer. Most caterers know how to handle this, and most kashrut observant Jews understand and accept special meals at non-kosher events. It can be handled in many ways, ranging from a frozen meal heated up to a restaurant or caterer prepared meal on their own china with their own utensils, glassware, etc. Depends on what you are looking for. Sounds like this is coming from your brother, not his girlfriend, the one for whom it's relevant. He sounds either completely ridiculous or like he is being deliberately obtuse and picking a fight. Only you can gauge that. Honestly, I would stop indulging him, reach out to the girlfriend, ask her if she is actually interested in attending, and what that would take. Seems like something is missing here. Our third commenter says, "Not the asshole. Your brother is ridiculous. Ignore him. If it's that big a problem, they don't have to come. Just enjoy your wedding. Stop entertaining his nonsense. Don't argue, explain, or try to reason. You've already addressed it. It's done." For our last story, we have, "Am I the ass for leaving a first date because his mom came along?" So, I'm 23 female and went on a first date last week with a guy the first matched with on Hinge. Let's call him Jake, 25 male. We'd been chatting for a few weeks, and he seemed like a solid guy, funny, good taste in music, and even remembered I loved Italian food. He planned the date at this nice little spot in Dallas, which I thought was sweet. I show up, and everything's fine at first. He's already there, we hug, and he even complimented my outfit. But like 5 minutes after I sit down, this older woman walks in. Jake stands up, waves her over, and says, "This is my mom." I thought I misheard him for a second. She sits down at the table, all casual, and starts introducing herself to me like this is normal. Meanwhile, I'm sitting there, trying to figure out if I'm being pranked. I kind of laugh nervously and say, "Oh, I didn't know you were bringing anyone," and he goes, "Oh, she just wanted to meet you. Don't worry, it's not a big deal." But it was a big deal because she didn't just stop by to say hi, she ordered wine and stayed. The whole time, she's asking me these personal questions about my job, my family, even if I want kids someday. It was like an interview, not a date. Jake barely said anything. He just smiled and kept nodding like this was all normal. After about 20 minutes of this, I couldn't take it anymore. I said I wasn't feeling great and needed to leave. I texted him later, saying I didn't think it would work out and wished him well. Now I feel kinda bad. My roommate says I did the right thing because honestly, who brings their mom to a first date? But my coworker said it was rude to just leave and that maybe his mom was just super close to him or nervous for him or whatever. Was I wrong for walking out? That's the end of our last post. Let's see what the commenters had to say. Our first commenter says, "You're definitely not in the wrong here. Bringing his mom to a first date without warning is a major red flag. First dates are about getting to know each other, not being grilled by someone's parent. You politely excused yourself, which is fair given the situation. Don't feel bad you dodged an awkward future. Our second commenter says, it's absurd that he would bring her. Unless she needs constant supervision due to some health issue. That is a very strange dynamic. You did what most anyone else would have done. Best of luck. Our third commenter says, OMG, I was hoping this was a fake post, run far away. That's all for today. If you enjoyed, please leave a like and subscribe. Thank you, and have a wonderful day.